Welcome to the Detective TV channel. Today, we will explore the Black Dahlia case, one of the most mysterious and horrifying cases in American history. In 1947, the body of a young actress was discovered in Los Angeles in a dismembered state. This case shocked public opinion and has yet to be solved. Let's learn about Elizabeth's life and the mysteries surrounding her death. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. From an unknown Hollywood actress with a scandalous personal life, Elizabeth Short suddenly became famous nationwide, but sadly, her fame came from the murder that ended her life. At 10 a.m. on January 15, 1947, Betty Berzinger was walking with her 3-year-old daughter when she suddenly discovered a naked body cut into many pieces in an empty lot west of South Norton Avenue, Los Angeles, California, USA. The police later confirmed that the victim was Elizabeth Short, commonly known by her stage name Black Dahlia. Since then, 75 years have passed, but the police have not found the culprit, even though the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has listed 150 suspects. The first 2 detectives to arrive at the scene discovered a bloody cement bag and a footprint among the tire tracks nearby. Since the body and the surrounding grass were not stained with blood, and there were drops of dew underneath, the police determined that the disposal was done in this area after 2 a.m., when the outside temperature dropped. The autopsy concluded that the victim died of suffocation and hemorrhage. Most notably, the words written in red lipstick on the victim's body read, "Be the Avenger, Black Dahlia." There were few clues to the victim's identity. The police only knew that the victim had light brown hair, blue eyes, was 1.67 m tall, and weighed about 52 kilograms. The case became a terror to the American people at that time. The police asked the press to spread the information and asked for help from the people. Detectives gave the victim's fingerprints to the Los Angeles Examiner. From there, the newspaper used a machine that was the precursor to the fax machine to send an enlarged copy of the fingerprints to the FBI headquarters in Washington. FBI technicians compared the fingerprints with 104 million fingerprints in the archive and quickly discovered that they belonged to Elizabeth Short. She was called the Black Dahlia by her friends because she liked the color black and often wore dahlias in her hair. According to the FBI, the autopsy results showed that the cuts on the victim's body were done very professionally, proving that the perpetrator could be a surgeon or a skilled cattle butcher. Elizabeth's face was slashed from the corner of her mouth to her ears. All her thighs and chest muscles were gone. Her torso was cut in half at the waist. Her small and large intestines were shoved under her buttocks. Her arms were wrapped around her head, and her legs were spread wide. Elizabeth's skull was not broken, but there were bruises on the front and right side that had caused blood clots. Nearby, the police also found a heel print on the ground between the tire tracks and a cement bag filled with blood. Forensic examination confirmed that the victim had died 10 hours earlier from blows to the head and face before being dismembered. Fingerprints were found to be Elizabeth Short. Born on July 29, 1924 in Boston, Massachusetts, after many changes of residence, Elizabeth's final settlement was in Los Angeles, California. Here, Elizabeth worked at the Florentine Gardens nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard. Elizabeth's body and beauty attracted the attention of several film directors. Although she had never been invited to participate in any film, Elizabeth still claimed to be an actress and gave herself the stage name Black Dahlia. In the following days, the police questioned people who were said to have known or been close to Elizabeth, but all proved that they had not met Elizabeth before her death. 6 days later, on January 21, 1947, James Richardson, editor of the Los Angeles Examiner, received a phone call from an anonymous person who claimed to have killed Elizabeth. During the conversation, the anonymous person congratulated the Examiner on its detailed and accurate reporting of the death of Black Dahlia and said Richardson will receive some souvenirs. On January 24th, the U.S. Post Office discovered an envelope addressed to Richardson. According to the FBI, inside the envelope was a piece of paper with individual letters, cut out of newspapers and pasted together. These are the belongings of Black Dahlia, along with a birth certificate, business card, and a picture of Elizabeth. All were soaked in gasoline to remove fingerprints. Also on this day, sanitation workers discovered in a trash can 3 kilometers from the scene of the murder a handbag and a black suede shoe that, according to witnesses, belonged to Elizabeth but had been wiped clean with gasoline. On March 14th, beach officials discovered a pile of crumpled men's clothing, including a blue canvas jacket and pants, a brown and white t-shirt, white jockey shorts, and a brown women's moccasin shoe on the edge of Breeze Avenue near the beach. In the shoe, they found a note, believed to be a suicide note, scrawled in pencil. I waited for the police to arrest me for the murder of Black Dahlia, but they didn't show up. I was too cowardly to turn myself in, so this was my best way out. I couldn't help myself. Sorry. The incident was reported to the West Los Angeles Police Department. After examining the handwriting on the note, police suspected Mark Hansen as the culprit. This person owned a nightclub and movie theater near the scene of the murder and was also an acquaintance of Elizabeth. During Mark's interrogation, he confirmed that the shoe belonged to Elizabeth, but denied that he was the author of the letter. According to Elizabeth's roommate and Toth, Elizabeth had refused Mark's sexual advances, and that may have been the reason why Mark killed Elizabeth. However, Mark was in San Francisco on the day Elizabeth was killed, and there were many witnesses who confirmed it, so he was excluded. In addition to Mark, the Los Angeles police questioned more than 150 men who were considered suspects, but there was not enough evidence to convict any of them. In all, 750 investigators were involved in the case, and various locations were searched, including sewers throughout Los Angeles, abandoned structures, and empty apartment buildings. City Councilman Lloyd G. Davis offered a $10,000 reward, equivalent to $130,356 today, for information leading to the arrest of the perpetrator, but all went unanswered. On January 26th, the Examiner received another letter, this time handwritten, which read, "Here it is, Wednesday, January 29th. I will turn myself in at 10 a.m. I am very happy with the police. The Black Dahlia Avenger." The letter also named a location where the alleged perpetrator would surrender, but despite waiting all day, no one showed up. Instead, at 1 p.m., the Examiner received another letter, this time a cut and pasted letter that read, "I've changed my mind. You didn't give me a fair deal. Killing Dahlia was justified." Analyzing the words in the 2 letters, the police turned to suspecting Elizabeth was gay. So they questioned employees and patrons of gay clubs in Los Angeles, but still found nothing. In an interview with the press, Officer Jack Donahue, the lead investigator, believed that Elizabeth's murder took place in a remote house in the suburbs of Los Angeles and that the body was transported to the city for mutilation. By mid-February, police asked the University of Southern California School of Medicine, located near the site where Elizabeth's body was found, to provide a list of all current students, as well as those who had graduated in the past 5 years. But like the homosexuality test, the list turned up nothing that could help the investigation. From there, the Black Dahlia case went into limbo. And while everything was forgotten, Ralph Astle, one of the first investigators on the case, told the Times that he believed he had met Elizabeth's killer. It was a man with a blue and white Ford sedan parked near the vacant lot where her body was found. When the police arrived, the man drove away and, because he was busy securing the scene, Ralph Astle did not write down the license plate number. The FBI opened the case and found that this person was George Hill Hodel Jr., a surgeon who was also on the list of 150 suspects but had never been charged. Before Elizabeth's case, Hodel had been accused of being involved in the death of his personal secretary and had been tried for raping his own daughter but was acquitted due to lack of evidence. According to investigator Ralph Astle, more than a month after Elizabeth's murder, on February 10, 1947, the police discovered the body of a young woman, Jean French, lying naked on the sidewalk of Grandview Avenue, Los Angeles. The victim's stomach had the words written in lipstick, "Fuck you BD," and the 3 letters TX. So Mr. Ralph Astle believed that the letters BD could stand for Black Dahlia. However, when the police summoned Hodel, he had disappeared. In a statement, Officer Jack Donahue, the head of the investigation team, said that the Black Dahlia case and the Jean French case were likely related. Once again, both deaths were at a standstill, but for the FBI, the case of Black Dahlia and Jean French was not yet closed. It was not until 2013 that James Collins, an investigative journalist for the Los Angeles Examiner, while searching for information for his article, unexpectedly read a news item, the content of which was on September 15, 1981, Philippine police discovered the naked body of a young woman cut into many pieces on Cebu Island, next to a bloody cement bag. This news item reminded Collins of Elizabeth's death because it had very similar details. Immediately, Collins flew to Cebu. Here, the Philippine police said they had not yet found the culprit, even though the incident had happened 32 years ago. When asked more about an American named George Hill Hodel Jr., strangely, the police said that he was a doctor, opened a clinic in Cebu since 1950, but by 1990, Hodel had returned to the U.S. The FBI's investigation found that after returning from the Philippines, Dr. Hodel lived in San Francisco, California, and died in 1999. Ironically, an FBI officer, Steve Hodel, was Hodel's son. According to Steve, Hodel left home when he was 9 years old, and since then, he has never seen his father again. Once again, Elizabeth's death record was recovered. Steve personally went to San Francisco and learned that after his father died, because he had no relatives, the police handed over Hodel's remains to Cummins' funeral home for management. At Cummins' funeral's archives, among Hodel's remains, Steve found a photo album hidden in a wooden box. When he opened it, in addition to photos of Hodel, his mother, and his brothers, there were also 2 photos of a young woman. When Steve saw it, he exclaimed, "Oh my God, she looks so much like Black Dahlia." Analysis of these 2 photos with photos of Elizabeth stored in the FBI archives shows that they are the same person. However, the additional material in the Black Dahlia case only added so much, except for a handwritten letter sent by an anonymous person to the Los Angeles Examiner on January 26, 1947, which when compared to Dr. Hodel's handwriting, showed similarities, and the house Dr. Hodel bought in 1945 in Los Angeles was only 10 kilometers from the scene where Elizabeth's body was found. However, according to the FBI, they still could not conclude that Dr. Hodel was the culprit because the evidence was too weak, because they could not find Hodel's car to compare with the car and a man that investigator Ralph Astle saw parked near the vacant lot with tire tracks where the Black Dahlia's body was found. Steve is now 74 years old and retired. In an interview with several newspapers, Steve said that, "I have never dared to confirm that my father was the murderer, but with a wealth of evidence collected, my father is still the leading suspect in the Elizabeth case." As for the FBI, the Black Dahlia is the most mysterious murder in the history of crime in the United States, and the Elizabeth case cannot be closed until they find the murderer, even though he may be dead.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.